Good afternoon from Prague. Larry Carvalho with RobustCloud, and I'm here to talk with Charlie Key about one of the hottest topics, right now, edge computing and how it plays in manufacturing. So, Charlie, you want to just brief introduction? We met, you're a serial entrepreneur from Cincinnati. I'm from Cincinnati. I enjoy following you. Introduce yourself and talk about what you do.
Yeah. Charlie Key. I was the co-founder and CEO at Losant.
Yep.
Which we were recently acquired into SUSE.
Okay.
And at SUSE, I'm the director of growth and strategy for our industrial platforms.
Right.
And so with Losant, we've been focused for more than 10 years and bringing the industrial edge to life through IoT and for manufacturing and a number of other industries.
Got it. Okay. So one of the things we see at Industrial Edge, they work perfectly at pilot. And when you go to scale, it's not going to do well.
Yep.
How do you address that, in keeping that consistency from, where a large company might be deploying it in a lot of locations?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've seen the pilot purgatory continue and continue in manufacturing and many other industrial industries. And so when we started the company, we focused on how do we build a platform that not only pilots well, builds a proof of concept well, but also goes into the enterprise and scales for the amount of devices and the amount of information that these companies are going to continue to bring to life. And so that starts with our software, but also from an operational standpoint. How do we make it easy to use this software? How do we make it easy for the IT and the OT environments to be able to scale this software across multiple sites, multiple industries, and really globally?
This is great for the current situation where everybody's trying to bring manufacturing in their own country. And close to manufacturing. So automation plays a big role over there. And with that, they have a lot of pressure to deliver solutions. And there is a need for, real-time analytics. How does your platform fit in when there is it's still a patchwork of so many solutions in this space?
That's a great question. When we think about the device expansion, the data expansion, and the equipment expansion of all of these industries and all of these different sites, both globally and not to mention, as we continue to talk about data sovereignty and sovereignty of these applications, there's a few things that we have to take into account. And what we've done and the way we've approached it is, one, we've always been agnostic from a hardware perspective, and that's important. So that comes to life through the industrial protocols that we integrate at the edge. So we can ingest data from Allen Bradley, from Siemens, all of these different providers of equipment, not to mention BACnet and SNMP and all these other protocols that provide an agnostic way to collect and ingest that data at the edge. And then the other piece is making the software to be able to be deployed in all of these different environments.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the other part that helps keep that agnostic nature and that vendor friendly across all of the different markets in the industries.
Right. So you just brought up Siemens and other companies. You are at an open source company now, and you're planning to get into Margo more into that. I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with what's happening there. Just tell me a little more about how you're going to go open source and how we'll work with SUSE and really deliver the value to the customer.
Yeah, so there's two parts of that question. So one is, as we continue to think about Losant and the SUSE world, the SUSE Industrial Edge, we'll continue to open source components and pieces of the platform. We have a strategy that we're working and bringing to life today. Part of that strategy is working with the Margo initiative from an open source perspective. So the Margo initiative is really about interoperable workloads at the edge for these industrial companies and industrial manufacturers and OEMs and everybody else that has massive workloads that they need to be able to run from an industrial perspective. We believe that not only our membership in the Margo community, but also our ability to provide what we have learned from our expertise and software from an open source standpoint. And so we hope to provide all of those things as part of the Margo initiative.
Yeah. And I think, coming from you with the low code, no code approach that you take, that is going to be valuable. Just quick, how are your customers like that low code, no code? Because you're working in the manufacturing, not all of them are very good in, skills and other things. So.
Yeah. And what we find is the low code, the no code environment enables a lot of these OT engineers and environment, whether it's a controls engineer all the way down to a manufacturing operations floor manager. They have the ability to now make changes to the software, how the software is working, how their edge is collecting data. Do we need new data? Do we need to create a new anomaly detection? And so the low code has enabled these folks to be able to do this in a rapid manner and bring that value quicker inside of the house and bring that value to their customers quicker.
That's great. So now you work in a very harsh environment. You could be in process industries, batch, and all over the place. How's your experience in working in that and keeping the system going up in various ways of?
Yeah, so there's a few layers of as we think about these harsh environments, right? We have one of our oldest customers is running pumps at gold mine sites throughout the Australian outback, and these are pumping water out of mines and wells there, and they've been running in the outback for 10 plus years and running hundreds of different sites. These are harsh environments. The connectivity is intermittent at best. The hardware itself has to be very robust from a compute perspective. So you start to have Linux industrial systems and servers that are hardened for the industrial spaces. And then, from a software perspective, we've got to be able to take those conditions into account. We have to be ready for that intermittent connectivity. We have to be able to store and forward that data as it's coming in, getting collected. We've got to be able to manage in a remote air-gapped environment as well as we connect to the cloud. And so it's a multi-tiered kind of approach as we look at those hardened environments.
So I'm imagining the way you're presenting it, you collect all this, you could have multiple sites, now you bring it into a central location and get the complete analytical picture of what's happening in that space. Any particular example where you can, talk about just in general how that plays in visibility? What's happening?
So we've got customers all over the world that are doing this today. This includes companies who have built and deployed solar clusters and solar cells and solar farms, literally all over the world. Hundreds of thousands of these. Each of them running independently as their own site and with their own edge software, with our edge software to collect that data, to manage those clusters. And then bring that data into a central interface. So not only our customer, the manufacturing OEM, but also their customers can get and see that data from a visibility standpoint, from a predictive maintenance perspective, from an operational awareness perspective. And so they have all of these different pieces that are all flowing up from everywhere in the world into a single pane of glass for them.
Got it. I like that, the view of how you can, view that data, because it's really important to get that visibility.
Absolutely.
So when you go with customers and they're starting with a isolated experiment, and then we are just talking about how it will be when you put it, what is that value for the customer in terms of costs, in terms of benefits that they get when they deploy it?
So we've seen everything where, with the deployment and as they roll out into production, we've seen everything where they literally were flying out to locations all around the world on a regular basis to now not even having to travel, a single person anywhere, to keeping uptime higher, keeping operational efficiency higher, improving OEE in the manufacturing sense. And so these ROIs compound in multiple layers, all the way from maintenance and of the equipment to the revenue this equipment is producing. And so as we provide all of this intelligence and this analytics on top of this, the ROI is compounding for for our customers.
Their customers.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go with the last question. Where do you see this evolve? Where is the next stage of the evolution of edge? When I started in the beginning, this is a hot topic.
Yep.
Manufacturing is coming as close to where it's needed. There's still a lot of global issues in transportation. So, with automation and everything, where do you see it going?
Yeah, it took us 10 minutes or so to get to the first mention of AI, but it is a part of it. So where we see this going, especially in the SUSE world, is we see multiple pieces that come into play here. So
okay,
with our edge capabilities, we have the ability to ingest and collect this data from a lot of different places. With our combined technologies and portfolio here at SUSE, we have now the ability to not only collect that data, but manage the lifecycle of our edge devices, manage the workflows and the workloads that we're having there, and combine that with artificial intelligence to be a more forward, agentic-looking kind of view of these operational spaces, whether that's a manufacturing floor or whether that's in transportation or maritime.
Right.
So it's going to be a layered approach as we kind of think about it. We're going to have models running on these edge devices, doing everything from real true predictive maintenance and anomaly detection to deciding what the most efficient route is from a travel and an asset management standpoint.
And I'll just go back. Predictive maintenance and being able to avoid disruptions.
Yep.
Such a big play for whoever is in this business. It's a thing. With that, thanks, Charlie, for this time. It was great catching up after meeting for a very long time.
Yeah.
And good luck with the next level of growth.
Yeah. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks.